Now, there are no puppets in this session, but I wanted to take a minute just to tell you a story. And we're going to throw in a few of these kind of little aside episodes just to give you a little more encouragement, a little more background. My story of how I became a ventriloquist is very simple. When I was about 7, 8 years old, I went to a church, and it was a banquet, and it was my church, and we were there, and I remember eating, and I could even take you to where I was sitting, and in the room, and they had this lady get up, and she did ventriloquism, and she had a puppet, and it was funny, and I remember watching it just thinking, that is so incredibly cool. And as we left that night, I remember sitting in the car in the parking lot as we're getting ready to pull out, and I remember looking out, and there was this lamppost out in our church parking lot, and I remember looking that way, and I remember thinking, I can do that. I would love to learn to do that. And so that was when I was first grade, maybe second grade, not long after I gave my life to Jesus. And then when I was fourth grade, went into class, first day of fourth grade, my teacher, she said this. She said, I will give candy to any student that is not caught talking every day. And not only will you get candy, you'll get an assignment saver. And that was something you could turn in, and you wouldn't have to do a certain assignment. And I thought, well, that's great. Now, she said, not caught talking. She didn't say, don't talk. She said, not caught. And so in my fourth grade mind, my thought was, I need to find a way that I can talk and not get caught. Because that's what she said. As long as you don't get caught talking. And so I started practicing talking without moving my lips. And I just tried to do the best I could. I didn't know a lot. Nobody had ever taught me how to do ventriloquism. And so I'd be sitting there in class, and a friend of mine would turn my way, and they would start talking. And I'd turn their way, and I'd smile, and I'd just smile, and I'd start talking without moving my lips as the best I could. And day after day after day after day, I got candy. And so at the end of class, last thing she did before we went home, she'd say, now today, and she kept the little checklist, she'd be like, today, Colby King, all right, you weren't talking, you did a great job, and almost every day I was getting candy, and I got all of these assignment savers, so much so I felt bad about using them. And then we got to the end of the year, and at the very end of the year, she made such a big deal about me being one of the best students she'd ever had, and how I never talked in class and was so obedient, and it made me feel horrible. And so I thought, oh, what have I done? And so I went home, and I went to my mom and dad, and I told them what I was doing. I said, look, I'm getting all these prizes and awards for not talking in class, but really I'm talking, I'm just not moving my lips. And I saw that ventriloquist a few years ago, and that's what I'm doing. And my parents, they thought it was funny. And so they bought me a book on ventriloquism, and they bought me a monkey puppet. And that's how I started doing ventriloquism. A year later, school talent show, I got up, did ventriloquism for the first time in front of my elementary school. Nobody knew that I learned by talking in class. And then not long, our pastor's wife was there, and she said, oh, you got to do that at church. And so I did it at church, and before long, I was sharing at other churches too. And so as you begin your journey of being a ventriloquist, I am not telling you to talk in class without moving your lips, but I am saying it is an incredibly fun tool, not just for your own fun, but it's a great way to tell people about what's important to you, a great way for you to share Jesus. And I don't know who you are or whether or not you've ever given your life to Jesus, but I want you to know He is the most important thing in my life, and Jesus changed my life. In another episode, I'm going to tell you my story of how I met Jesus, but He changed my life. And everything you've ever wanted in life, it's only found in Him.